Hi, this is Aaron at ThinkBotLabs.com and welcome back. In this video, I'm going to cover how to set up our game menu. This menu will include a pause menu, audio options menu, and a help menu. Once we get this set up, you can build on this framework to make it as robust as needed for your game. First thing we're going to do is expose parameters in our audio mixer so that we can adjust those levels in the UI. To do that, select the audio mixer, and then we'll select the master. On the volume, right-click on it and say Expose Volume, and then Sound Effects. Right-click on the volume, Expose Volume to Script, and then on Music, right-click Volume and Expose to Script. Next, in the Audio Mixer window, you'll see Expose Parameters 3. You'll see that we have my exposed parameters 1, 2, and 3 for volume of master, volume of music, and volume of sound effects. Let's go ahead and double-click those and we can rename those. So we'll say master volume, music volume, and the last one is going to be SFX volume. Alright, so now that we can call on these three separate parameters in code to adjust these levels. So let's set that up. Let's go to our audio manager. Let's go ahead and open up this code. And we just need to add a few lines of code in here. So let's go down to the audio manager, and here at the top, let's go ahead and give ourselves some space. Public audio mixer, and we'll just call it audio mixer. And then we need to create three methods to set the master volume, sound effects, and our music volume. So those methods are going to be public void set master volume, and those parameters are of type float. So master level, and here we're going to say audio mixer dot set float master volume is the parameter that we're going to affect, and we're going to pass it in the master level. Okay, and two more. So public void set SFX volume float, and again call the audio mixer set float SFX volume, and we'll pass it the SFX level, and then one more for public void set music volume float, audio mixer dot set float music volume music level. And so again, this is the function to set the music level. Function to set the sound effects. And then function to set the master volume. And our audio mixer is the reference to the audio mixer. Alright, go ahead and save that, and let's go back to Unity. And now you see that we have the audio mixer game object to add in there, so just go ahead and grab the audio mixer and tag it in there. Alright, so now we have that set up, let's go ahead and hop into our UI. So, like I said, we'll be setting up the pause, options, and help window. Alright, to get started, let's select our UI and create an empty game object underneath it. We're going to call this menu UI. Okay, let's go ahead and focus on that. Zoom out a little bit. We're going to set this right smack in the center. Let's go to the Death UI and let's copy the BG image, and we're going to reuse that in our menu. That way when we pause the game or in another menu option, our background is going to be dimmed out. So let's paste that. Make it a child of the menu UI. Alright, let's go back to the menu UI and let's go to UI, add an image. This image is going to be window underscore or Windows underscore 36, and we're going to use this for our pause. Let's go ahead and preserve the aspect, and let's stretch it out so it's decent size over the screen. I'll go to our game too to see how that looks. It's pretty good size. Let's rename this to paused window. Okay, and right click on it and let's add UI text. And this is going to say paused. I'm going to change our font to our Earth orbiter. Let's change the text of the game object to paused text. Let's change the color. I'm going to use the picker and I'm going to use the light color of the yellow. There we go. Let's go ahead and move it up to the top and over a little bit. Right there. Let's go ahead and add a shadow. Make it pop just a little bit. Make sure the text is centered. And that should be good. Alright, next we're going to add a couple buttons in here. So back to the pause window. Let's add UI and a button. So we're going to have the resume button, the restart button, options button, help button, and an exit button. So that's a total of 5 buttons. So this first one we're going to bring all the way to the top, about right here. We're going to change the UI on this to button 5. Buttons underscore 5. There we go. Preserve the aspect ratio. And then let's stretch this out just a tad. That's good. Let's go ahead and change the text on this. We're going to rename this to resume button, or just resume. Change our font. Go ahead and center it. Change our color. And we're going to duplicate this, so we only have to do this once, besides changing the text. Go ahead and add a shadow to that. And let's go ahead and rename this button to resume. Let's make it a little skinnier. Okay. Let's bring that text down just a little bit. Right there. Alright, let's go ahead and duplicate that. Let's try that again. Control D, duplicate. There's 2, 3, 4, and we're going to have to make these just a little smaller. Bring that up just a little bit. And let's go ahead and grab them all and bring them down just a little bit. Here we go. Alright, so let's rename this first one to resume button, or to restart, that is. Second one is going to be options. Next one is going to be help. And the last one is going to be exit. Alright, let's change that text. And the last one, exit. Alright, good. Alright, let's go ahead and set up the options menu or window. So let's create another UI image. We'll call this options window. OPT. Alright, let's grab the paused window and just turn it off for now. So the options window, let's change that sprite to Windows _2. Okay, again, let's preserve the aspect ratio and let's stretch it out. A little bit bigger. That should be good. Okay, so let's add UI text for our header image, or the name of the window. It's going to be options. Change our font to the Earth orbiter. I'm going to center this. Change that color to bright. And add a shadow to it. Now let's move it up. There. Rename this to options text. Alright, so now for the options. The only thing I'm going to do in here is set up a couple sliders so we can adjust our audio in the game. So let's add an image, UI, image, and this image is going to be of type Windows _5, right here. Preserve the aspect. Let's go ahead and move it up top. Stretch this out. About there, that's good. Let's go ahead and duplicate that. And we'll duplicate it one more. And let's grab all three of these, bring them up. And then let's add a button in here. And this is going to be our back button. And let's change that button source image to buttons _6. Let's go ahead and preserve that aspect ratio, and we'll stretch it out just a bit. There. Let's change the text on it and just say back. Go ahead and change the font on here. Change the color. I'm going to leave the color black on this one so it stands out, has a little contrast on it. Alright, so this is going to be our back button. First image, let's rename this to master volume. Second one, we'll rename to music volume. And the last one we'll rename to SFX volume. Alright, so in the master volume, let's add a text. Let's bring this over. Let's call this master. Change the font. Be centered. Let's change the color. Let's add a shadow to it. Let's bring that over. Down just a little bit. Should be good. And again on the music, let's go UI text, cost music. Font is going to be our Earth orbiter. Center the text, let's change color, add a shadow to it, and we'll move this over. And last one is our sound effects. SFX, Earth orbiter, center, set our color, and give it a shadow. Let's move that over, down a little bit. Perfect. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add UI sliders right in the middle of all these so we can have something to adjust. So let's start with the master volume, UI slider. Let's go ahead and move this over a little bit. Alright, so on our slider, we're going to set the minimum and maximum value. If you go to your audio mixer, you can see our maximum is 20 and the minimum is negative 80 decibels. So let's set that same thing in our slider. So master volume slider, minimum is negative 80 decibels and our max is 20. Let's go to the slider background and we're going to change that source image to elements underscore 288, this one down here. Okay, and let's go to the handle and find that handle. Let's change that image from the knob to the buttons underscore 79, this one right here. It's pretty good. Okay, and I'm just going to I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it in the music volume. And then I'm just going to bring it down right there, and then I'm going to do it one more time. Alright, so now we have some sliders to work with. We'll be able to adjust those. So the last UI element we're going to set up is our help window. So let's go ahead and minimize the options window, and we can go ahead and disable this for now. Menu, UI, image. We'll change that image to Windows 2. Preserve the aspect, and let's change that to a larger size. It's pretty good right there. Rename this to help window. Let's add text to the top. Center it. Change that color. Let's add a shadow on it. And then let's bring it up. Let's rename that to help. That's good right there. And then we need to add another text field. We're just going to fill this entire area full of the text field. That we can just type a bunch of text in here for help menu demonstration. So let's go ahead and change this to help dialog. That way we know what it is. Let's change our font. Consistency is key, right? Change the color. And let's add some text in here. So we'll say that this is our 2D sci-fi robot game. And center that just a little bit. We'll say WSAD to move, space to jump, and then we'll say the objective is to activate all switches in the scene to open the exit door. Let's go ahead and drag that down a little bit. That'll work. Alright, and this is, like I said, this is just a demonstration. You can put anything in here. You make the window bigger. You can put video inside of this little menu. Whatever you want to do, the possibilities are endless. Let's go back to the help window, UI, and add a button. It's going to be our back button. Let's change that to the buttons 6. Let's go ahead and move it down. Let's shrink it a bit. And that should be good. Okay. Change that text to back. Let's change the font, Earth Orbiter, and let's change the color to a dark black. And again with the shadow. Alright, so we have our help window with our help dialog and a back button. Let's go ahead and disable that. We have our options window with 3 sliders to control the master, music, and sound effects level and a back button. And then we have our paused window where we have resume, restart, options, help, and exit. Cool. Alright, so now we need to create a script to control all that. So let's do that. So let's go to our scripts, right click and create, and just call this menu. We are going to attach this menu script to our game manager, and let's go ahead and open it up. Format this. I'm going to delete everything out of the inside, and we don't need these. Alright, so for our menu, we need our game objects, our paused, options, and help windows. So let's create those game object, paused window, and a game object, options window, and a game object, help window, and of course our main menu UI. So game object, menu UI, and we'll need to serialize all these so we can see them in the inspector. So let's go ahead and create serialized fields. We are going to need a reference to the audio manager so we can use those functions that we created earlier, or those methods. So audio manager. So let's go ahead and set up all the functions that we're going to need to hook up to those UI elements. So we have the restart, public void restart. We have the display options. We have the display help. We have the resume. We have an exit button. Keep on wanting to close that. That's alright. We have our back button. And the other functions that we need to create are the sound effects, music, and master level functions. So public void set SFX volume, we'll be passing it a float SFX level, and this is going to be audio manager dot set SFX volume. We'll simply pass it the SFX level. Same with the music, public void set music volume, float music level. We're going to call on our audio manager to do this. Audio manager set music volume music level, and then public void set master level, or volume, passing it a float audio manager set master volume master level. Alright, so now to switch in between all of our UIs, let's set up a state machine. So we're going to do that by setting up a enum menu states. And so our states are going to be playing, pause, options, and help. And then we'll track our states by menu states, current state. So in our playing state, we're not going to have any UI elements shown. In our pause state, we'll be showing the paused window options state, the options window, and the help state will show the help window. So to do that, in our update, alright, so let's go ahead and set those states. We'll do that with a switch statement, and we're going to switch on the current state. And our first state is our playing, so case, menu state, playing. Our second case is the menu states dot pause. Make sure you break out of all these. Third one is case menu states dot options, and the last one is going to be the help menu states dot help. So while we're playing, we don't need any of the UI elements. So we're going to set our current state to be equal to menu state dot playing. Alright, so while we're playing, we want all of our UI elements to be disabled. We do that by doing pause window dot set active is equal to false, options window dot set active to equal to be false, help window dot set active equal to be false, and then the menu UI dot set active is equal to be false. Alright, so let's go ahead and copy all these, and we'll use them in our other ones. Let's go to the pause. So when our game is paused, we want the pause window to be true, and we want the rest of them to be false. When we're in the options, we want the options window to be true, and the rest of them to be off. And then for help, we want the help window. Also, another neat little trick that we can do is while we're in our menus, we can pause the game. And so to do that, we'll say time.timescale is equal to 0, and that pauses the game time. So time.timescale is equal to 0 for all of our menus. Time.timescale is equal to 0. We make sure though that when we are playing that we resume our time. So time.timescale is equal to 1. We do need a way for the player to access the menus in the first place. We're going to have the user press the escape key. And so go double check your edit, project settings, input, and you should find a cancel down at the bottom. One of the options is escape for the cancel, so we're going to use that. So just go ahead and copy that. Make sure you get that spelled correctly. We'll say if input.get key down escape and current state is equal to menu states dot pause. We'll set that to current state is equal to menu states dot playing. Else if input dot get key down escape is pressed and the current state is equal to menu states dot playing. We're going to say current state is equal to menu states dot pause. So what this is going to do is see if the users press the escape key, and we're going to check if we're already in the pause state. If we are, our current state is going to be playing. If the users press the escape key and we're not in the pause state, let's go to that pause state. So this is a way we can toggle on and off that paused menu. Okay, let's go down to our functions and fill those out. So to restart, we'll need to access our scene manager. So using Unity Engine .scene management, and we'll be using the build index, so scene manager .load scene, and the build index, I know that we only have one in here right now, but to verify that on yours, go back, click edit, or the file, build settings, and you should only have one. And over on the right hand side, this is your build number, that's 0. So if you have 4 or 5 different scenes, you need to pick the right one that you need to load into. Later when we go into player prefs and storing user data, we'll dynamically load this scene based on what scene that they were currently in. Display options, let's set their current state equals menu state options. Display help, current state equals menu state dot help. The resume is current state equals menu state dot playing. Our exit is simply application.quit. However, when you're in the editor, you cannot just use the quit. You'll need to use Unity editor .editor application .isPlaying is equal to false, and this will quit the editor, so you can simulate quitting the game without actually building your game. And the back button will say current state equals menu states, and we'll send them back to the pause menu. So this seems like a whole lot, but let's go over it again. So we have our 4 game objects for our UI elements: the menu UI, paused window, options window, and help window. We grab a reference to our audio manager. That way we can set all of our sound effects, our music, and our master volume. We set up our state machine, and we're detecting if the player presses escape to go ahead and send them to the pause menu. If they've already been in the pause menu and they hit escape again, we're going to send them to playing. If they are playing, we're going to disable all of the UI elements and make sure that their time scale is set to 1, so their game is unfroze. And then the same for all of our other menus. We're going to enable one menu and then disable the rest of them. And our functions, restart, display options, display help, resume, those are all, and our back button are all dependent on the state machine. So let's go ahead and save that and go back to Unity and get all that wired up together. So let's go to our game manager. So the game manager is asking for our 4 elements. Let's grab the menu UI, help window, options window, and the pause. Okay. Let's go ahead and go into the paused window. The resume button. Let's grab the game manager and drop it in there. And once you drop it in there, it'll read all of the scripts that you have, or all of the elements that you have on that game object. So go to your menu, and then we're going to go to the resume. Okay, restart button, same thing. Grab the game manager, menu, and then resume. Options, game manager, menu, display options, help, game manager, menu, help, display help, exit button, game manager, menu, exit. Let's go to the options window. So for our music volume, let's go down to the slider, and it has an on value change, add, game manager, go to our functions menu, and at the very top you can see our dynamic. These are the ones that you want to use. So go ahead and set for the master volume, music, game manager, menu, music, sound effects, add, game manager, menu, sound effects, and for our back button, add, game manager, and then back button. Okay, let's make sure we didn't miss anything. So paused window, we have a resume, restart, options, help, exit. Our options window, we have our master volume with the game manager, slider, that slider, back button, okay, and the help window will be our last one. So the back button is all that we have on this one. Grab the game manager, functions, and then back button. Alright, let's go ahead and minimize all this up. Let's go ahead and disable the menu UI. And we can go ahead and minimize all this. Alright, so let's focus on our robot. So play. Alright, we'll move around, make sure the functionality still works. Come up here, click our switch, hit escape. Pause menu does come up. We can exit, that comes back, good. Escape, restart, application reloaded, escape, our options. So for our master, music, and sound effects, let's turn all of that down. Good. Music, up, down, sound effects, down, up, and the back button. Good. And we get our help window and the back button, and then our exit. And like I said, with this type of framework setup, you can make it as big as you need to, as complex as you need to, as many menus as you need to. and then you can do whatever you need to with inside of those menus. So great. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos, and we'll see you in the next one. Till then.